butt in because I'm about to ask you questions here. On this exact issue. You say that Governor Perry's opposition to building a border along the entire fence shows that he is, quote, a big government moderate. Question, is he soft on illegal immigration?
Governor Perry, no one's suggesting up here that the students that are illegal in this country shouldn't be able to go to a college and university. I mean, I think you're sort of making this leap that unless we subsidize this, the taxpayers subsidize it, they won't be able to go. Well, most folks who want to go to the state of Texas or any other state, out of state, have to pay the full boat. The point is, why are we subsidized? Not that they can't go, they can go. They just have to borrow money, find other sources to be able to go. And why should they be given preferential treatment as an illegal in this country? That's what we're saying. And so yes, I would say that he is soft on illegal immigration. I think the fact that he doesn't want to build a fence. He gave a speech in 2001 where he talked about binational health insurance between Mexico and Texas. I mean, I don't even think Barack Obama would be for binational health insurance. So I think he's very weak on this issue of American sovereignty and protecting our borders and not being a magnet for illegal immigration. Yes.
Governor Perry, 30 seconds to respond.
I got one question for him. Have you ever even been to the border with Mexico?
Yes.
I'm surprised if you have, but you weren't paying attention because the idea
answer is yes,
that you are going to build a wall, a fence for 1,200 miles and then go 800 miles more to Tijuana does not make sense. You put the boots on the ground. We know how to make this work.
It's not
you
working.
Put the aviation assets in the ground. No, it's not working because the federal government is not.
You know how it works. Is it working
the federal government has not engaged in this at all. When I'm the president of the United States, I'll promise you one thing. We will put the assets on the ground, the boots on the ground, the aviation assets on the ground, and we will stop illegal immigration. We will stop the drug cartels, and we will make America secure.
Can you answer the question? Is it working?
You know, you asked your question. He gave his answer, sir. Sometimes we're frustrated with all of you answering questions. Congressman Paul, I want to ask you a question about a comment you made a couple of weeks ago about a border fence with Mexico. Here's what you said, sir. I want to quote it. There's capital controls and there's people control. So every time you think of a fence keeping all those bad people out, think about those fences maybe being used against us, keeping us in. Question, Congressman, do you know a lot of Americans who want to take their money and flee the United States of America?
There are some. All the candidates up here talk about repatriation of dollars. They've already taken them overseas. We're talking about trying to bring in $1.5 trillion because they leave our country because we make it uncomfortable. Too many regulations, too much taxation. They can't start business. They've lost confidence. Yes. When countries destroy a currency, they do lead to capital controls and they lead to people control. So I think it is a real concern. And also, once you have these data banks, the data banks means that everybody's going to be in the data bank. You say, oh no, the data bank's there for the illegals. But everybody's in the data bank. That's national ID card. If you care about your personal liberty, you'll be cautious when you feel comfortable. Blame all the illegal immigrants for everything. What you need to do is attack their benefits. No free education, no free subsidies, no citizenship, no birthright citizenship. That would get to the bottom of it a lot sooner. But economically, you should not ignore the fact that in tough economic times, money and people want to leave the country. That's unfortunate.
Congressman Paul, thank you very much, sir.
Chris, thank you. Let's check in now with Shannon Bream. Shannon.
Well, Brett, one of the really interesting and valuable pieces of information we get from our partner Google is looking at search trends. We want to take you through some of those. They've looked online for people within the U.S. who have been searching for coupons. We talked about the economy a lot. If you look at the trend, it has been going up very steadily since 2004 to right now. Another search compares home loan searches for foreclosure searches. Those have flipped over time, and now more people searching for information about foreclosures than home loans. And another look, this compares folks searching for the best SUV miles per gallon and also gas prices, and those go together. When people are worried about their pocketbooks, worried about finding a bargain, they're also looking at how they can save on gas and how they can conserve. We've also been tracking questions that you've been putting to the candidates. We've put them to the folks at home as well, and we've got some results. This question, the same one we asked the candidates. If you had to cut a government department, what would you cut? This is what the folks at home told us. The Labor Department, 8%. The EPA, 12%. Housing and Urban Development, 12%. Education, 47%. Easily the majority there. And none, 20%. Check it all out, youtube.com/Fox News. Brett, back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. We'll check back with you a little later. Up next, foreign policy, social issues, and healthcare after the break.
All right, thanks for joining us on the commercial breaks here at youtube.com/Fox News. I've got Steve Grove with us again, the head of news and politics for Google and YouTube, and also Chris Stirewalt, the Fox News digital politics editor and host of Power Play Live, 11:30 Eastern every weekday. Candidates there, they're prepping, they're ready to go.
Welcome back to Orlando and the Republican presidential debate. We're partnering, easy for me to say, with Google and the Florida Republican Party. Now to the topic of foreign policy. And all night we've been showing you these word clouds. Take a look at this one. All the searches on foreign policy, Israel is the biggest word. These are actually the words used in questions. And that brings us to our first question. This week, with the Palestinian efforts at the United Nations, the issue of the future of Israel is a big concern to questioners. In fact, Governor Romney, the next question was a top question voted in the foreign policy section from Yigal Marcus in Teaneck, New Jersey.
As president, how would you approach the new reality in the Middle East, specifically with regards to our ally Israel and the existential threats it faces from Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, and now the Palestinian Authority?
Governor Romney.
Very simply, you start off by saying that you don't allow an inch of space to exist between you and your friends and your allies. The president went about this all wrong. He went around the world and apologized for America. He addressed the United Nations in his inaugural address and chastised our friend Israel for building settlements and said nothing about Hamas launching thousands of rockets into Israel. Just before Bibi Netanyahu came to the United States, he threw Israel under the bus, trying to negotiate for Israel. The right course, if you disagree with an ally, you talk about it privately, but in public you stand shoulder to shoulder with your allies. The right course for us is not to try and negotiate for Israel. The right course is to stand behind our friends, to listen to them, and to let the entire world know that we will stay with them and that we will support them and defend them. And with regards to Iran, which perhaps represents the greatest existential threat to Israel, we have to make it abundantly clear. It is unacceptable, and I take that word carefully, it is unacceptable for Iran to become a nuclear nation.
Thank you, Governor Romney. Mr. Kaine, this week the Palestinian Authority brought their bid for statehood to the United Nations. How would you respond to the unilateral declaration of a Palestinian state?
It starts with an extension of the Reagan philosophy of peace through strength. My philosophy would extend that to peace through strength and clarity. This administration has not made it clear how it stands with Israel. When I was in Israel last month, I met with the Deputy Prime Minister, and he made it shockingly, chillingly clear that given everything that's going on, number one, Israel will defend itself with all of the tensions going on in the Middle East. And he also made it real clear that he wasn't sure how this administration stood when it came to Israel. I made it clear, which I would also make it clear to all of the other people in the world, that if you mess with Israel, you're messing with the United States of America. We will stand solidly behind Israel. If in fact it was clear to the Palestinians where the United States stood, they might have had second thoughts about trying to pull such a move without negotiating with Israel.
Mr. Kaine, thank you. Here's a comparison of searches on Google for Israel, Pakistan, and Afghanistan over the past few years. You can see the lines here. Israel dominates the searches except for a few critical moments in time for Pakistan, which brings us to this. Governor Perry, if you were president and you got a call at 3 a.m. telling you that Pakistan had lost control of its nuclear weapons at the hands of the Taliban, what would be your first move?
Well, obviously, before you ever get to that point, you have to build a relationship in that region. That's one of the things that this administration has not done. Yesterday, we found out through Admiral Mullen that Haqqani has been involved with, and that's the terrorist group directly associated with the Pakistani country. So to have a relationship with India, to make sure that India knows that for instance, when we had the opportunity to sell India the upgraded F-16s, we chose not to do that. We did the same thing with Taiwan. The point is, our allies need to understand clearly that we are their friends. We will be standing by there with them. Today, we don't have those allies in that region that can assist us if that situation that you talked about were to become a reality.
Senator Santorum, if the security situation were to fall apart in Iraq in 2012, would you support sending U.S. troops back to the region to stabilize the gains made?
I'm not for taking them out of the region. I believe that we need to listen to our generals, and our generals are very, very clear that we need to continue to stabilize the Iraqi government wants and needs our intelligence in particular. Needs force protection. We need to have anywhere, hearing numbers of 20, 30,000 troops potentially to remain in Iraq, not indefinitely, but to continue to make sure that this is a stable transition. This is the difference between Congressman Paul, Governor Huntsman, Governor Perry, and myself when it comes to this issue. I stand up and say that when we engage in Iraq and Afghanistan, we engage because we want to be successful. We want victory. We want to have accomplished a national security objective for this country, to make sure that we are safer. We're not on a political agenda to withdraw troops. So the first